Is everyone ready to go? Does everyone have
You already hit the
everything
fucking
ready?
button, dickhead.
Yeah, I know I hit the button, but that doesn't mean that like Devin couldn't edit out the first part of the podcast before everything is okay. Anyway, Marcus, is your recording going?
Yes, I have
Oh,
Audacity on.
okay,
Perfect.
okay. In
Thanks
that
so much.
case, yeah, we're all good. Hello, welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. It's a podcast about engineering disasters with slides. I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he, him. Okay, go.
He, him.
Yeah,
What was
him.
that?
Yeah, him. Yeah.
I'm November Kelly. I'm the person who's talking now. My pronouns are she and her. Yay, Liam.
Yeah, Liam. Hi, I'm Liam McAnderson. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he, him, and we have a guest.
Yes, hello. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm Marcus. My pronouns are he, him. I think that's illegal now where I come from, but,
We'll get into that.
we will.
And we're looking at a box with some wheels.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
Little sort of glass enclosed toaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually quite like the way this looks.
Is,
I'm not going to lie
let
to
me
you.
check my notes here. The future of transportation. They're so confident of that they made a whole video to tell you that it is the future of transportation. And you can tell because all the people whose salaries depend on that being the future of transportation say that it is the future of transportation.
Well, if it's not the future, why does it have all the cool like circuits on the side?
Yeah. It's got hexagons. That means future.
Well, I mean, I guess this one can't be the future because the company that made it is bankrupt.
Oh, well, that was quick.
That might be the beginning of where your problems are.
Yeah.
Getting hauntology. This is a lost future.
Yeah, so I feel like you need like some kind of voice filter and like some John Cena intro music to say this, but today we're going to talk about Jacksonville's ultimate urban circulator.
Whoa!
Are you blown away, Nova? Are you fucking blown away
am.
by this?
I am. No one in Britain is naming anything as cool as the ultimate urban circulator, let alone designing a little like molecular logo for it.
No,
yeah,
actually,
in fact, the molecular logo is what you're supposed to like call it, the U2C.
Oh, that's way less elegant.
Do you get it?
That sucks.
Oh.
yeah, that's not as good. I think
That's what
they need to
calls
lean
anyway,
into it.
so.
Yeah, I would sooner say that I was getting the circulator, you know?
The circ.
Yeah, I know this is about engineering disasters, and I will say this is, I guess, an impending disaster, technically.
Oh, we do those. We count those.
This
We
one's
do count those. Great.
it's too far in motion to prevent at this point. This is like an imminent train wreck. And we'll get into how.
We will.
Is this like the last one we did that was an impending train wreck turned out not to train wreck on time because we said that the Mexican Navy was going to kill AMLO and then they didn't kill AMLO.
They did not kill AMLO.
Way to hold up your end of the bargain, dickheads.
Yeah. But before we talk about the ultimate urban circulator, we have to do
before you do that,
news.
can you do Sunday, Sunday, Sunday in that voice?
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday in downtown Jacksonville, the ultimate urban circulator.
Beautiful, thank you.
You're ready
Appreciate
for
you.
ultimate news. Well, you'll never believe it, but the country has once again suffered a tremendous loss, you know?
Yes, it's very sad. Pictured here, the country is in mourning as O.J. Simpson's funeral train winds its way to our nation's capital.
Well, the thing is, when O.J. Simpson died, you reacted in the exact same way as when you found out that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. We just weren't recording at the time.
We were not recording, no.
No record of that, you know?
Nah. You can pretend. You can open up the 9/11 episode and play that bit right now on your own YouTube. No one has to edit it in or anything. We don't need that. Anyway, O.J. Simpson famously
famous comic actor,
yes,
football player,
yes,
not murderer legally,
legally not a murderer. Yes,
acquitted of murder.
Yes.
And
Wrote
only
a
guy
book
to
about
ever,
how to be a murderer, though.
only guy to ever rush for 2,000 yards in a 14-game season. There's something to be said for that.
he was
yeah.
he was really funny. I've seen the Naked Gun movies. He was really good in them. Like people critique those performances, but I thought they were good. And yeah, also did not murder his what girlfriend,
Ex-wife?
ex-wife.
This is the issue with OJ is that I'm old enough to know that who he was, but young enough to not remember the fiasco over the trial.
He
Yeah,
was yeah, it was trial was like 94, 95, and then the civil lawsuit was like 97.
Yeah, my favorite
yeah.
tweet that I saw about this was just a guy sort of like faux realization going, he wasn't really trying to get that glove on.
Yeah.
No, I will say that O.J. Simpson was an absolute bastard in his personal life, and I don't
sure.
have anything positive to say about perpetuators of abuse, and that he'll pay for it at the gates of hell.
And you know who his lawyer was? Was Robert Kardashian, patriarch of the Kardashians. So
Wow.
yeah, a real legacy there, from like doing some of the scummiest legal work going in Los Angeles County, which is saying something.
Which is saying something.
It's incredible to see the class structure reproduce itself,
Yeah, the Armenian SSR tried to like uplift these people, but what can you do? And
What is what are Alan Dershowitz's kids doing?
does he have kids?
He might not.
Hold on, we're gonna look into this very strongly right now, and by that I mean I'm gonna Google it on my phone. You can't Google Alan Dershowitz kids without getting some of the things that he's said. Yeah, he's 3 kids. He has 3 kids. One is a film producer, one is a professional actor, and one is a lawyer for the WNBA. So good for all of them. I guess.
Better than being Dersh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. And I mean, you can't choose your parents, right? It's like,
right. What a Dersh bag.
You go back for the holidays and you're like, so Dad, what's up with you? And he's like, I am railing against everyone on Martha's Vineyard who is canceling me merely for the crime of saying many, many heinous things. And it's like, that's cool. I did like a play or whatever. I did some like WNBA litigation,
And he's like, let me tell you why I don't believe pedophilia is a mortal sin. Now, get the charts.
But yeah, no, I mean, the OJ trial and then like civil lawsuit and also the white Bronco chase and things such as this.
Yeah,
many of our listeners will be too young to
Yeah.
know what any of these are, and maybe I don't want to explain them,
Yeah.
because maybe shut up,
Yes. The glove didn't fit, so they did acquit. I mean, what else can you say?
Just one of the like all-time pieces of like jury shenanigans. To be what this glove is like slightly too small for his hand, and it was found at the scene of the murder. Therefore, he didn't commit the murder because he can't fit into this glove. It's beautiful.
Wasn't the real story just that the LAPD was too racist to prosecute the crime
legitimately,
properly?
That was it. Yeah. And also the sort of like thing at issue was, is being insanely rich and famous enough to get you off a murder charge, even if you're black in an insanely racist justice system? And the answer is yeah, at that point.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Well, RIP to the juice.
Mm-hmm.
In other news,
also his victims and many people. Yeah, we should probably
many people
include that,
affected by him. Yes.
Yeah, and,
some more stuff came out since he died, where it's like, fucking.
Oh, you're not
Bob
a good
Kardashian
dude.
like showed up at UCLA with like a suitcase full of money to make some allegations go away, kind of thing.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, we should. He's dead, right, Robert? No, not Rob Kardashian. The dad. Yeah, he's still.
Is the dad not Robert?
No, the kid's also Robert, dude. It's real fucking weird. But the dad, The
Not
dad
as weird
is
as giving all
is
their
dead.
daughters K names. That's
And yeah, I just Courtney, Kim, Chloe, Rob.
I also can't type, so I fat fingered this and I typed in Dobber Kardashian. Yeah, he is dead. He has been dead for like 21 years at this point. So I think
Yeah,
we
he
can
died of
we can
esophageal
safely
cancer.
we can
RIP,
safely
you dead
defame
bitch.
Robert Kardashian. Yes.
It's the United States. You can defame anyone.
Yeah, that's I've been
Well,
spending the
J.K.
last
Rowling,
2.
for instance, unlike
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
J.K. Rowling is not a pet. She's a Holocaust denier. Whatever.
Just wait a little bit for that one to come out.
Keep it in. Keep it in. I don't give a shit. I'm in America, baby. This is the one good thing about this country.
This company is registered in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
I have to share a country with that woman, please. I'm begging you. Stick to bleeps.
Oh God. So, in other news, Israel blew up one of Iran's embassies, or consulates, and Iran has now reversed the usual bomb Iran into Israel being bombed by Iran.
Yeah, not very effectively, but that was kind of the
Was
point.
it like a 2% effective rate or something?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't kill anyone. Which, if you look at that as being on purpose, is pretty impressive. And the whole kind of run up to this, which was like very heavily trailed, it was like very heavily warned. Everybody knew what was going to happen well in advance, and the whole time the Israelis were like preparing for it, because the Iranians were like going to everyone involved and being like, "We really don't want to have to do this. Don't make us do this again for real. You've put us in this position where we are obliged to like lightly bomb you. You know, just fucking draw a line under it." And of course, the Israelis don't want to draw a line under it, and they want to like fucking bomb Tehran about
it. They want to nuke Tehran. They do, and they, as we know, whatever what is it, the Samson protocol, which is just the
Samson option.
Isn't that that's a rumor though?
Yeah, although
a rumor that's real, but a rumor.
I feel like with nuclear ambiguity, all you're ever going to get is rumors, that and like Mordecai Vanunu, you know. But yeah, essentially, Iran and the US, being the adults in the room, have put Netanyahu at the kids' table. Unfortunately, he is at the kids' table with his nuclear weapons, and he doesn't like it very much.
The last thing you want is someone at the kids' table with nuclear weapons. This is a sure way.
I'm going to make Thanksgiving go so poorly.
Yeah, this is going to turn the 4th of July into the 4th of shit for sure.
Do you think we're going to make it to the 4th of July? Interesting. Yeah, so no one knows what the Israeli retaliation is going to be. The US and its allies are like trying to lean on the Israelis to be like more sensible about this, but fucking good luck with these assholes. Like,
right, they have. It's irrelevant largely. I mean, the other thing too is like, I'm really tired of Joe Biden doing the like leaking statements telling us how disappointed he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like, all right, man, what are you gonna do about it? And he's just like, nothing. And it's like, okay, well, I'll just go fuck myself.
It's a variation of that tweet, right? Where it's like Biden is always like, I'd like to know who the president of Israel is, so I could have a word with that guy.
I feel pretty confident here that probably nothing is going to happen. But the issue is that I'm also consistently wrong about foreign policy all of the time.
I love you to death, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, so we'll see. In the meantime, what has actually functionally happened is that there's been like a very, very expensive fireworks show, as you've seen here, where Israel and the US and France, Britain, and Jordan, for some fucking reason, all sort of like shot down these like drones as they came in. Which, cool. You know, clearly this was an attempt to be like, we have satisfied our own like sort of constituency here. Please just like let it end there. And you know, we're gonna see how this escalates. Probably not well, is my opinion. Meanwhile, the genocide continues apace, by the way.
Oh, yeah, they're still doing that. I've been surprised at seeing the death toll still hover around 30,000. It feels like they're just not able to count anymore.
That's literally it. It's like at a certain point, like the sort of mechanisms for recording this stuff break down.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden's big thing was that he was able to like increase the number of aid trucks and like reopen the Eretz crossing and stuff. Yeah, exactly, right.
Wow, that's nothing. That's shitting in my hand.
And a lot of the stuff, when it gets to the Israelis who had to actually do it, it turns into, let's not and say we did, right?
Right.
We tell Biden that we're letting in X number of trucks, and then the trucks go in half full or whatever. It's breathtakingly cynical.
Yes.
But as it has been from the start. So, plus ça change. If you were hoping for any kind of like outrage in a like genuine sense from Iran or from Hezbollah, well, no, they're like regional actors and they have the sort of commensurate interests and alignments and sympathies. But like, yeah, I think we're well and truly in the realm of like geopolitics, and it turns out that geopolitics is something that sucks because it's about sort of like considering the big picture when the small picture is genocide.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised the trucks can get in at all. There's no roads left.
Yeah.
Now that we're thoroughly bummed out.
Well, since we're thoroughly bummed out, I would call that a successful section of the goddamn news.
Ultimate news.
Yes. So, Jacksonville.
Hey, Marcus, are you still with us, bud?
I
still
am.
there?
I just
Okay.
didn't have much to add.
I'm so sorry that we like stunned you into silence with all of our horrible takes.
Yeah.
It'd be like that. I've heard worse. I'm from Florida.
Marcus, tell us about Jacksonville. It looks beautiful.
That's
Well,
pretty.
yeah, I am stunned that you found such a good picture, especially a recent one, because there's supposed to be like, in every news thing about Jacksonville, there's like this big orange building in like the middle of this picture that got torn down like 4 years ago, and like no one's taken new pictures. So
they do that with B-roll of Philly of the Sixers when we're on national television. They'll show B-roll from like 2017. It's like, we have a bunch of new buildings.
I think
Show
this is a funny insult to any city to be like, yeah, something happened in Berlin today. Here's his file footage, and it still has the wall in it.
Yeah, but I mean, on the bright side, you guys have more buildings than you had before. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But let's see. This is the 10th largest city in the country. I don't know if you want to believe that, but you're supposed to. It's home to big corporations like CSX.
Yeah,
America's
the
favorite
guys who
railroad.
killed O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. Well, we forgot to mention they did
yeah.
derail the Tropicana train 2 days ago.
Yeah, this was the joke that we were going to do in the news that we forgot to do. The big train full of orange juice. Yeah,
Great work. But yeah, their building's actually to like the left of this picture, so you can't see it. But there's also a big fountain there. That spot where that building used to be, they were going to build like a big skyscraper, and that just got canceled like a couple weeks ago because money. And to the right, we have our football stadium, which you also can't see in this picture, which actually leads me to the next slide.
I've been there.
Yes.
I went to see the Gator Bowl there. It was nice.
So,
it was a nice stadium.
What is a Gator Bowl?
It's one of the annual college football bowl games. It was between Notre Dame and South Carolina, and the hated and feared Fighting Irish beat my beloved Gamecocks.
Your beloved.
Let's see what else is going. Well, speaking of that,
that's all I got.
That's right. Till we die. But you have the upper right there. Yeah, we have an NFL team that we're about to spend $1 billion probably to not lose.
Oh, Jesus.
Nice.
Because Florida, unlike a lot of other states, like the state doesn't give any money to football stadiums, which some would argue is a good thing. But it also means that like now a city has to find $1 billion for football.
Yeah, who your football team is shaking down does not really make as much odds when everyone is as obsessed with football.
Right.
It's called the National Football League. The government should just fund it.
Nationalized Football League. Yeah,
the Nationalized Football League.
But But yeah, some other contextual things here. So like I mentioned on like the left side, you have
hello to
the
this
biggest city in the world because in the 60s, at a time where like cities were already starting to kind of crap themselves, uh, they had the bright idea of like, let's just make the city and the county like one thing.
Right.
They call it consolidation. So the picture down there is the mayor hanging with whoever that lady is with their new city limit sign.
Really hot, but like probably statistically insanely racist. So
Yeah.
Florida in 1968. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then on the bottom right, we like trains here, I think. So
Yes.
that is what used to be, and could be again, the train station, which was at one point the largest train station, like south of Washington D.C. And it used to be like that's how you would get to Miami when you decide to go on vacation there.
Nice building. And you pass through here on your way to your sort of like billionaires doomed Florida Keys Railroad.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Well, this
For
was
like
the
that
northern
20-year period where like you could actually do that. Yeah.
No
50.
more.
this was the northern terminus of the Florida East Coast Railroad.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. This entire main hall is still here. The platforms are all gone. There's a convention center there now.
Yeah.
Of
Well,
course,
it
okay.
might not be there forever because they're talking about moving it, but
Jesus Christ,
in
Jacksonville.
classic Jacksonville fashion, can't like really figure out where to move it. So they're still talking about that, but
Well, they only have the 826.5 square miles to decide.
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
only
About
want
to
to put
say.
it in like the couple square miles that are like downtown generally. But of course, like which
it, out
spot
the
of that
burbs you
that
go.
you want to
Yep.
pick is like it's been a thing.
It's just really funny to kind of on a legislative basis be like the city is extremely large and then not do urban sprawl about it.
Oh no! There's urban sprawl. Don't worry about that. There's plenty of urban sprawl. We'll get there. So
One
kind of
unit
focus
per acre.
in some parts, yeah.
Yeah.
But to talk about the 60s, we can go to the next slide actually, because there's this glorious moment, this glorious era of the Great Society, right? When Lyndon Johnson is president, it's this whole thing that we're going to build a high-speed rail on the top right, and we're going to do like rapid transit instead of commuter rail, and we're going to have these like cool low-floor buses with too many wheels. And
I have no fucking clue what this is.
Everything is going to be cool. Everything is going to look like that kind of like puppet-based animation, like Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet. And do not ever ask me about Vietnam.
Yeah, there's nothing happening over there. Don't talk about that.
Yeah, don't worry, your train's going too fast to see it, so don't worry.
You can get your beautiful train from your like house to your office at Dow Chemical, where you like invent napalm to, and then don't worry about what we do with it.
Yeah,
this is called the Great Society, right?
Yeah, and connecting all of it is on the bottom right, the people mover. Right, you're going to be able to like hop on this little thing and just ride it around, kind of.
It's the way of the future.
Yeah,
you know?
Way of the future.
It's cool.
Way of the future. So we built some of those on the next slide.
Oh yeah,
right. We do the Washington Metro. We build BART in San Francisco,
I just
but
thought it was quite cute how American Great Society like transit associations are like just often given like first names. Just Bart and Marta,
Bart,
Yeah.
Marta.
Marta,
beautiful name
yeah.
for a baby girl, Scepter.
Yeah,
Atlanta getting the consolation prize because Seattle couldn't like figure it out. We love that. But yeah, so we build a lot of this like big transit in a lot of these cities, and kind of the golden is like because these metros are doing like the whole commuter rail element essentially, right? They're longer, they go faster. The idea then is that once you're in like the downtown, you probably need like a smaller thing. Right,
I
to
just
get them,
noticed
like,
that's
to your
Richard
office.
Nixon. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, he's right there. Yeah.
Cryptid. Was there a single normal looking photo ever taken of this man in his life?
No.
I'm not sure that's possible.
Yeah, so these Great Society metros, these are, some people call them rapid rail, because unlike the traditional subways, they extend way deep into the suburbs. A lot of them are sort of semi-automated or fully automated. Well, most of them are semi. I'll get to that in the next slide. And they are, they're very different from the traditional subways, just in sort of how they operate, how fast they go, all this sort of stuff. Which leads us to, I think, something which may be useful to discuss before we get to the second component of the system, which is train automation.
I've heard of this.
Yes. So there's something called ATO, automatic train operation. I want to make a distinction here between the word autonomous and then automatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, autonomous has sort of come to mean every type of system that's like automatic in any way, but it's kind of different, right?
There are stages, right?
An autonomous vehicle, there's this big beefy computer. It takes in lots of information from like cameras and radars, does a whole bunch of machine learning bullshit.
They actually
to
have
it.
a cool word for it. Sensor fusion.
Ooh,
That's not real.
Sexy.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
you get your computer doing this sexy sensor fusion, and then it like drives you into a lake or whatever.
Yes, it crashes directly into an ambulance.
Yeah.
And then maybe drags you down the sidewalk a little, but that's besides the point.
This is also true, yes. When we talk about automatic train operation, trains are not autonomous in that way. They're automatic, like a toaster.
Sure. You don't
Sure.
need the big beefy computer because it's a controlled environment, or should
Yes. They don't have autonomy. They don't make decisions. They don't need AI. The computer systems are pretty limited. They require limited input from things like electrical contacts to function.
be. It's why the whole like autonomous car thing is fucked, right? Is because there's too much shit going on a road. Whereas a nice like separate like railway, you can do whatever you want there. It's very, very easy.
Right of way, yes.
Yeah.
One thing that's interesting, which I don't think we have on the slides, maybe should have put it that in there, is the automatic highway system of like the 90s, which did most of the stuff that autonomous vehicle manufacturers are still trying to figure out, with like Buicks.
Incredible.
Yeah, but sticking nails into the road is just too hard.
That's
We
very,
have to
very
innovate.
difficult. Very difficult to do one nail every foot or so. So
you gotta want flexibility. Actually.
Yeah. So the thing about automatic train operation is these trains cannot see a child and then like Tesla full self-driving make an informed and rational decision resulting from thousands of machine years of neural network input to then slam on the accelerator to hit the child as hard as possible. Because automatic trains don't process information like that.
Yeah, if there's a kid on the railway, the kid gets like mulched because don't be on the railway.
Yeah,
This is-
this we'll get to that in a second. That is a large part of what makes, especially the very high levels of automation function, are like sealed corridors where a lot of these emergencies theoretically cannot happen, or at least in order for them to happen, the person has to really want it to happen.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, the other thing is like, okay, there's no like machine learning involved or neural networks involved here. So the software is written by a person. So we can sort of
Assign
make it
blame to
fail-safe.
that guy.
Yeah. Also they work in the rain.
And at night too, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And they work pretty consistently because you can like run a whole system like this, like the DLR, and like the stations don't change distance. There's
Yes.
the traffic. It's like very, very controllable.
Yeah, it's all fixed, kind of permanent infrastructure that's really meant to kind of like be there once you build it.
Yeah. So ATO, automatic train operation, is a 70-year-old technology.
Really?
This is an MP51, I believe. It ran on the Paris Metro in 1952 to 1956 as a test bed for what we'd now call a grade of automation 2 system, right?
Raising
Yeah.
hand here. Why does it have rubber tires?
This is a rubber tired Metro.
It's
Is
Paris had
it?
a few rubber tired lines pretty early on. This is because of Michelin having outsized influence on everything about France.
Incredible.
It's also why Montreal has a rubber tired metro. Michelin really tried to promote this system, which isn't actually that much better. But they still use rubber tired metros, and there's still a few of them around.
Huh.
I
had no idea.
So there's a bunch of rubber tire systems, but that was the Bud Company also tried them for a while, and they would try to run
How'd
them on
that go?
poorly. That's one thing that's really great to have on a train is blowouts.
Oh yeah.
That's why they have a redundant steel wheel behind the rubber tire, actually. That and for going through switches. Rubber tired metro does have just a big steel wheel in addition to the rubber tire. There's a whole bunch. That's another episode.
I got the teacher off onto a tangent, so
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
gonna forget that we have homework.
So we'll look at the several grades of operation of metro systems in particular. A few of them do apply to like mainline trains. The first one is grade of operation 0. That is no automation whatsoever.
Just a
The
guy.
driver-
It's a guy in there.
Yeah, it's just a guy. The driver drives the train. The most extreme circumstance can be something like down here is the 3rd Avenue L in New York City.
Ooh, she's
They
pretty.
did not even have signaling systems. It was all done by line of sight, right? The idea
See and
is,
avoid.
look, just don't hit the guy in front of you.
Yeah, try not to.
That's the rule. That's the entire rule. And one of the things about it is you could achieve very high train frequency that way. There were trains every like 45 seconds on some of the busier Manhattan L's.
I mean, as long as no one screws it up, then
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
this is entirely based on don't fuck it up. And if you have on-street
It's
light rail,
foolproof.
yeah, if you have on-street light rail without dedicated lanes, they still operate like this. I mean,
Yep.
it's the same as driving a car at that point.
Yeah.
Grade of automation 1. This is most mainline trains. You have manual operation with some kind of automatic train protection system, which prevents a lot of kinds of engineer or driver error, right?
Yeah, you ran a red signal because you're asleep or dead, therefore power is off.
Power goes off, the brakes goes on. Yeah, that's automatic train stop, and we've had that since the 1890s. Although
1890s train technology.
that was based on like the train physically hit a board that then broke a bulb in the train line air system, which then dumped the brakes instantly.
Incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, automatic train stop. You pass a signal that's a red. The train automatically applies emergency brakes. It stops itself. Everyone is safe. Then you get fired.
Or possibly you are already dead, in which case they like pull you out of the cab and then you get fired.
Liquefy you, yeah.
Yeah. Then you get fired and your family doesn't receive benefits. These can also be more complex systems like the Advanced Civil Speed Enforcement System that Amtrak has, or the European Train Control System that'll display information about the speed limits, oncoming signals. The train will automatically brake if a speed limit is exceeded. You still are performing station stops manually, though.
Yeah, these are fun as hell to drive in any train simulator.
Train simulators are so fucking bad right now. It's insane.
Go off, Ken, please.
Well, that could be a bonus episode, I think. Just start
and my
screaming about
contribution to
train
it is like,
simulators.
I'm having fun. I don't know enough to know why this is wrong. I'm just enjoying myself.
I just don't understand why if I run a red signal, the simulation immediately shuts down and tells me it's for my own safety.
That's the guy with the Makarov that they hired to like shoot you in the back of the head if you like pass a signal of danger. Do your railroads not have this?
I believe that's grade of automation -1. Yeah.
Yes, driver and political officer.
Yeah. So they probably had that in the Soviet Union.
Oh god, I'd love to be a train political officer.
The train commissar.
Listen, I don't need to know how to drive the train. I just need to know that you are like following the correct mass line of Marxism Leninism.
Properly follow proper protocol. Grade of Automation 2 takes this a step further. This is the Washington Metro here. This is one of the 1000 series cars. They're from like way back in the 60s, I want to say.
More like 70s.
70s. Yeah, they're old. They're the oldest cars. Well, they're all scrapped now except for 2 that are a bar. But essentially, the engineer at this point, if you're driving the train to go from one station to the other through a series of like electrical equipment on the side of the track that tells the train what to do, you may only have to push a button, and the train leaves the station and goes to the next one.
Hell yeah, it's a jobs program. Perfect.
Exactly. So you're still responsible for watching for obstacles on the track, for opening and closing the doors, making station announcements, manually driving the train if necessary, handling various emergencies. This is the most common grade of automation on automated metros, and this 70-year-old Paris Metro car can do all of that.
Huh.
Then you go up to grade of automation 3. This is the Docklands Light Railway.
Yay.
The DLR has no driver's cab, but there's still an attendant on the train to operate the doors, to drive the trains in emergencies. In this case, they also check tickets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got a like a button to stop at an emergency anyway for passengers. So whatever, you know.
Yeah,
a kid climbs like shimmies up onto the DLR and decides to play chicken with the monorail.
Don't do that.
You can like hit the thing.
Yeah, you hit the button. You know, someone sees a kid on the tracks. You hit the button, it stops. But that's like the main safety system there. Then you go up to grade of automation 4. This is line C on Rome's Metro. And this involves substantially more infrastructure. It has a sealed corridor with extra safety systems like sturdy fencing. It has platform screen doors so people can't fall on the tracks.
Yeah.
Because at this point, the possibility of most conventional emergencies becomes so remote, grade of automation 4 trains can operate with no staff whatsoever on board. These are very, very...
How likely is that?
How likely is what?
To run it with absolutely no one on board.
Well, so they're very expensive to build, but they do exist.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, so this is sort of these are becoming increasingly common. They're very expensive to build, but very cheap to operate because no people, right?
I mean, Glasgow subway is in this situation now where they have trains that could do this, and they want to kick out all the stuff and just run them driverless, and they can't yet, but they hope to.
I mean, I think Glasgow has a situation where the stations are so old and so narrow, you probably could not do that without substantially reconstructing the system.
Oh, they've been trying. The tiny narrow platforms are gonna have like full platform screen doors on them and everything.
That's just gonna be like going into a sardine can.
Yep.
It's already like going into a sardine
I mean,
can.
listen, I would rather have the sardine can than the current thing of like stand on this one girder like you're sort of like a guy building a skyscraper in 1920s New York City. To this side of you, death. To this side of you, death. No, give me the platform screen doors.
Give me the screen doors. Yeah, the screen doors are a good idea. I mean, if you see some of the older subway infrastructure, this is like a really good idea just in general. Sometimes they're hard to install. They're certainly expensive to install, but they do stop lawsuits.
Yeah, and they stop crazy people from shoving you onto the tracks because they don't like your face.
Exactly. So yeah, I guess the point here is we had this technology to automate trains for a very, very long time. The very modern systems, again, they're getting more sophisticated and they're getting more expensive, but they are getting much safer and more reliable. These things don't, but it's just that this is such an old and refined technology. The oldest trains that were automated, like this MP51 here, this was developed when vacuum tubes were king. And, they didn't even have transistors yet. Some of them ran on relays, right?
Oh, yeah.
you don't need extremely high tech systems to automate metro systems, at least. There's
you could run this off of a big sort of drum of punched paper, like a player piano.
exactly, and
Right. Because like a lot of the work here ends up being done by the fact that like, yeah, it's already grade separated. You're usually going to have platform screen doors anyway. So there's nowhere for people to like run and cause problems.
yeah, and so they do rely on infrastructure and technology. They also rely on like consistent scheduling, railway design. That's why automating mainline trains is much more difficult. They've tried to. They sort of work on sealed corridors like dedicated high speed lines, but on like mainline trains, none of this technology works very well because there's just too many things, too many variables to deal with.
Yeah, too much weird shit. It could throw a bunch of weird signals at you. It could throw like signaling faults at you. There could be a bunch of like railway children from the film The Railway Children on the railway.
Yeah, there's situations like in the United States, you can't use automatic train stop in a lot of places because big ass freight train, if it applies the emergency brakes, you're going to cause the derailment you tried to prevent.
Sure.
So it
also,
is
the like women like tied to train tracks, like
gotta watch out for that.
Man tweaking his mustache
Yeah,
villainously.
absolutely.
Yeah. That would be what's his name?
Snidely Whiplash.
Snidely Whiplash.
Is that the guy?
That's the
is
guy.
that the guy from Wacky Races?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking Dick Dastardly for some reason.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Yeah, I think so.
Dick Dastardly's from Wacky Races.
Yeah, who is it that ties the women to the train tracks? Whatever.
Dick Dastardly sounds like he probably had a previous career in that before he got into motorsport.
I wonder where that came from as a like trope, aside from anything else. Like, do you think it was like originally serious, like originally like a horror thing? Like
entirely possible, since it would have been like silent films and earlier.
Yeah, do like 1880s Saw to you and be like, by being like habitually late, in many ways you have like run people over with a train every day. So now you're gonna find out what it's like to like get run over by a train. I assume that's how the Saw movies go. I haven't seen one.
I want to play a game. But I don't know how you just wake up in like a dirty bathroom that has train tracks in it. I don't think that'll work.
Maybe in like the middle of the tunnel somehow.
Yeah, but the train's gonna come like every 4 minutes. You have not a lot of time to set this up.
I was gonna say, that you've got to be like pretty hot on the like tying women to stuff front to be able to get that done without getting hit by a train yourself.
Sure, you gotta go real quick, yeah.
It's like you have 40 minutes to solve the puzzle, and then the train that's coming is the Cardinal, and it's delayed in Indianapolis.
Woman has long since freed herself, and it's just like, all right, I'm gonna go smoke. Do you want anything?
Fuck this.
Precision schedule railroading has in many ways been the death knell of the tying women to railroad.
Our finest heritage,
industry.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they say America has no culture.
And in the interest of time, I would speak about attempts to automate freight trains and how they're extremely stupid, but that could be another episode.
By all means.
Automation of trains in certain circumstances is very, very, very effective. One of which is, of course, the people movers. Now
controlled environment, grade separation, regular schedule, nothing unexpected, no railway children, no women tied to things.
No railway children from the movie Railway Children.
Getting tied to a monorail in Jacksonville.
Oh,
wait, it's not a monorail yet in this picture.
Me. Just being tied to a monorail rail and being held captive by a man who keeps insisting that Trevor Lawrence is the future.
Yeah, I think the long story short about the Great Society people movers they were a great idea that they fucked up unimaginably badly.
That tracks.
The Lyndon B. Johnson story.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, yeah. You end up with this whole position where everyone and their mother kind of initially wanted a people mover. And then by the time, like, the US DOT actually gets around to saying, okay, we'll pay for your people mover, a lot of those cities have already backed out. In some cases, it was like they decided they didn't want to pay a local share, or that like they couldn't really find a way to make it work in their downtown. So in the end, you only get really just these three. You get Jacksonville in the top left, where you can see that old train station back there.
Yep.
You get Detroit with their like weird loop that was supposed to like connect to like a big rapid transit system that got like canceled. And then you have Miami, which is like the one success story of this whole deal.
The one that worked, because
Right.
The whole system is premised on like you take the high speed, the rapid rail subway system from your suburban house into downtown. There's a limited number of stations, but then you're going to be able to get on a people mover, and that's just going to bring you directly to whatever the hell building you live in or you work in, where you design Agent Orange, but oranger.
Right.
Yeah, like sort of Agent. Fuck. What's I was trying to think of like an orange monster, and I couldn't think of anything. So.
Oh, it's Gritty.
Yes.
But yeah,
sending Gritty to Vietnam.
There's an idea. But yeah, everyone kind of realizes at some point, like, oh wait, we can't build the rapid transit system. So especially in like Jacksonville and Detroit, you get the like last minute idea that maybe instead of trying to just build a rapid transit system, you're going to have people essentially drive like 90% of the way to work and then park and then get on the people mover for the last like half mile to your Dow Chemical office.
I mean, if nothing else, it puts the giant parking lots slightly out of downtown.
It could do that if you actually could. It could if you actually like didn't build those parking lots, but well, you can see them.
Yeah.
And especially in Jacksonville, you get this like weird last minute like decision to, because they just built that can turn the train station into a convention center, and they didn't build any hotels next to the convention center. So the idea was, okay, let's put one station there, and then let's make it go like half a mile to where the hotels are downtown, like in the center of downtown, and that will make people use it, right? It did not.
It's just sort of retroactively justifying the system somehow.
Essentially. So that's how you end up with like the report in 1990, which is the year after the Jacksonville system opens, where they pretty much immediately say like, wow, this did not work. It gets like maybe 1,000 riders a day. It costs millions to run. It's not a big enough system to really justify the cost of doing all of this automation, building all of this totally dedicated infrastructure. So you get that line that the recommendation is that no funding be made available at the time.
Brutal.
So it's already built at this point.
Well, the first like 0.7 miles, they originally wanted to build like several more miles of it, essentially, to kind of go from like two different ends of downtown, and they wanted to build like a north-south part. So they had pretty like lofty plans, but the Department of Transportation says like, we don't feel like this is a good investment. And then Congress decides, nah, let's do it.
Send it to the real experts,
Right. So the big like surface transportation funding bill of like 1991, Jacksonville gets this little earmark down at the bottom right there that says that, actually, the Secretary of Transportation has to negotiate a deal with the Transportation Authority to fund the next phases. So that 1.8 mile extension.
Oh yeah, and
go ahead.
Before we go to the next slide, I would like to point out another major problem with these systems, which is vendor lock-in. Right, all of these different people mover systems use entirely different guideways. They use entirely different systems for traction. The exception being in Detroit, where they at least use 2 steel rails like a normal person, although they use weird linear induction motors on the bottom. So if for some reason you want to extend the line or you want new vehicles, you have to go back to the same company that manufactured the system. You're not getting competitive bids on any of this.
It's a beautiful piece of like diversity in bidding. You know, let 1,000 people movers bloom.
Yes. Soon people will be building people mover systems in sheds. You'll have your backyard furnace for casting people mover parts.
This just reinforces again my thing that like it's too much variety. You know, there should be one train. It should be called Train. It should be made by the train factory.
I've been saying.
Train company.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't help that like a big part of this was the people movers are supposed to be like this essentially like demonstration program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's supposed to be like, hey, like let's showcase like trying all these different options.
See which one works, and the answer is
None.
Well,
Yeah.
you'll see when they built that 1.8 mile extension.
Oh, I'll feel foolish.
Huh. The guideway changed. How did that happen?
Yeah. So before that, really quick, just kind of a general overview of like what is the funny logo people here.
Oh, it's a really cool logo. I really
It
like
is.
it.
It's really nice.
pretty
Some
cool,
kid
yeah.
designed it, I think. So you had like originally like this agency that got created by the state. Their job was, hey, let's build highways. So you see kind of in the top right there, that's them building, I believe that's I-95 there. And then on the bottom is like also part of I-95. You can see like the Florida East Coast Railways tracks, like just kind of squeeze through the middle there with some future grade crossing accidents, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then in like 1971, so that's like after like 20 years or so, 15, 20 years, all the like last big like local bus like private company goes bankrupt. And so someone has the bright idea of, well, why don't we just make the highway agency do the transit too?
Oh,
So they
yeah,
go
why
from
not?
being
There's already roads, guys. You know, buses
Yeah.
run on roads. Sensible.
right. So they make the Expressway Authority the Transportation Authority.
Oh boy.
Oh.
And so that leads them. Sorry.
So that's how it's gone in many states. I mean, a lot of places that still have a Department of Highways and nothing else.
Mhm.
Right. So you end up with also this weird problem in the 90s then when they're trying to expand it, like you said. And that one company, we can actually go to the next slide. Right. The one company, I just kind of like the vibes of these photos here.
Oh yeah.
No, these are cool.
Right. So that French company Matra that built like this original system is running into kind of some trouble with like a system in Taiwan, I believe. And so like they just kind of bail on doing the extension themselves. Which
So I'm
means
also using Michelin tires here.
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
A kind of French Lyle Lanley figure.
They love finding new reasons for people to buy tires. I mean,
Mm. Yeah, I mean they have that whole like restaurant guide off of that.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a scam to sell people tires when
It's
they
true.
drive to the restaurants.
it's all Big Michelin. Or that's not his name. His name's Bibendum.
They should. If you get a Michelin star, you should be obligated to sell tires at the restaurant.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
You ever seen
all
that
your
old,
all your fine French cuisine served in just a big tire.
Just a big
yeah, the
tire.
big tire, yeah. Have you ever seen the old Michelin ad where Bibendum, the Michelin guy, is like eating, like he's like toasting with a wine glass full of nails and shards of glass?
I don't think-
Sort of horrifying moment in marketing history, but the idea is that like because Michelin tires are like strong, they'll like just chew up nails,
Uh-huh.
whatever, unlike your like pussy woke tires, which won't. You know?
The old Michelin man is absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, the new Michelin man is pretty terrifying, but the old one was used to, horrifying.
I had a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk.
Remember when the Michelin man was hard?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the French actually kind of give up at this point, which means that they have to find someone to not
William,
only deal
I
with
heard
like
you bite your tongue on that one.
Cheese eating surrender monkeys.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's the one bad thing about me. It's my love for the French.
So they essentially have to look for someone else to like fix the existing part and then also expand to the new part, which leads them to Bombardier.
Oh
Oh yeah.
So if you actually want to go back one slide, that actually leads them to build the monorail, like the literal monorail
Yes.
that they go with.
It's cute.
Yeah, it's supposed to like be able to be made longer, and then Bombardier decides that like, nah, they're not building any more of these.
We're done with these French guys. Give me a guy who speaks French way worse.
Yeah.
So-
Rubber Tire Metro, just smoking corruption.
Me pronom monorail.
So yeah, so they kind of spent essentially the rest of the 90s like converting the people mover into a monorail and then extending the monorail a few more stops. So they end up at a point where they build like 2.5 miles in total. But it still kind of doesn't quite go to the places where stuff is happening, because like at that point, like Jacksonville's downtown is kind of not doing as much. All the malls are being built like way out in the suburbs, and so you have like this whole like weird like decade and a half period of trying to make downtown Jacksonville like matter, and none of it really comes to fruition, which leads us to really the next slide. We arrive in like the early 2010s at this point, where the previous CEO gets like ousted for, if I remember right, it was like a thing about like bus driver background checks.
Oh, good.
What?
Oh, fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
like going full Uber and just being like, nah, don't fucking worry about it.
I love municipal scandal, you know? Like, that's the kind of level I want my scandal pitched at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that guy gets like ousted, and they look for a new guy, and this is the guy, right? I had someone who like works in the industry tell me like this guy has a really compelling like life story, because like he started out like driving trains for the New York subway, worked his way up a bit there, then became like CEO of MARTA in Atlanta at like 39,
Wow.
which
Nat Ford.
doesn't happen often.
Nat Ford.
And then
Blew the budget on photography.
yeah, and we'll get there. But so he
Probably
runs
shouldn't
that
be
for like a
standing
couple years, and then goes to run MARTA, or not MARTA, Muni in San Francisco. So many M's. Runs Muni in San Francisco for another like 5 years, and then like gets not necessarily ousted, but like leaves.
But he's in like the sort of confrérie of like 20 guys in the country who can like run one of these systems or are like believed to be able to run one of these systems, right?
Right.
So, you
So
know,
in like 2012, like Jacksonville thinks like, oh wow, we got like a great deal. We have like one of these really cool guys, and obviously he seems to think so with his photos.
Yes.
So
I need to get the like a menswear
gotta-
guy in here to like judge the suits, but like it's good.
Gotta-
They're good photos.
Yeah.
It's sort of inspirational, staring into the distance look. He's got that down pat.
Yeah, I mean, even
I like the
with
helmet.
the headline there that he's got his eyes set on the future,
Okay.
which I think really kind of sets the tone of where this is going. So let's go to the next slide, actually.
Yes.
So it's 2015, and a couple problems have cropped up. One of the whole issues with people movers is like a lot of that stuff's not really like super built to last, like technology wise.
Well, by the time the stuff like, all the concrete crumbled, we were supposed to have invented Great Society too, right? So
Yes.
Society
Well, what's funny is like the
Great
concrete
Society.
yeah, Great Society too. Racism ended. You can get to like your job at Dow Chemical to the like second. The Vietnamese are still getting napalmed.
Oh, we're doing Super Vietnam to another planet.
We're doing like Helldivers, but instead of Super Earth, it's Super Vietnam.
Yeah.
But yeah, by like this point, the concrete actually isn't doing too bad, and that's especially a good thing because when you take the federal government's money for like one of these systems, or really for any like transit like infrastructure, you have to like use it for a certain amount of time, like its lifespan essentially. You can't just like give up on it, or else you have to give the feds their money back.
None of these people mover systems can be torn down without paying the federal government a lot of money.
That's fantastic.
Pretty much, yeah. Some of them are maybe starting to get old enough where like that might almost be the case, but especially a decade ago in Jacksonville, like that wasn't true because the last like bits of the system had only been built in like 2000. So you really kind of have to do something. But your problem at that point is that stuff is starting to just like not work. Like some of the monorail trains, like they're like the computers that operate them are just like giving up.
This was programmed by like one French Canadian man who has long since retired.
Yes.
I think it's even worse because I think like that company was like an acquisition. Like Bombardier acquired a company that actually made them, and I don't know if they kept any of those guys.
Yeah, you have
so
to
by
do
that
kind
point,
of like
like, really-
landing the Black Hawk next to the guy fly fishing, being like, "We need you back for one last mission,
One more job."
kind of thing."
Could you
except
please tell me what this comment means? Kalis Tabernac.
Right, and
Kalis
then
Tabernac, je vais exploser le mouveur du peuple.
so then there's kind of
why do the notes just say Algeria is French and always will be? I don't.
Good sign, I'm sure. So one of the problems you get up with too at this point is that there are only kind of so many ways you can do something with this infrastructure. So you got to like upgrade trains and try and figure out how to make it useful. And so they tried to go to the federal government in like 2013 to say like, hey, give us like a small grant to like extend it to this one neighborhood where stuff is like happening, and also like upgrade the trains because they're like breaking down. And the Obama administration says, nah, you're on your own.
Oh, cool.
Hope for change.
So it's that it's a discretionary grant. I think a lot of cities use that money for like streetcars and street improvements and stuff. And they were only asking for like 20 million here, but they didn't get the money, so too bad.
Seems like a pretty good deal, all things considered.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean-
Obama didn't think so.
It's not that's not a huge amount of money for a short extension. I mean, that is if you're just going into like an extra neighborhood, $20 million. I mean, think about the infill station they built on Washington Metro. A few years ago, it was like $500 million.
So Great Society 1, you commit like unimaginable war crimes in Vietnam, right?
You get trains that work.
But you get a people mover. At least the people mover ran on time. Great Society 2, you commit unimaginable war crimes in Afghanistan, and then you don't get the people mover.
Yes.
It fucking sucks down here.
You
I
have
also
to drive to your job at Dow Chemical.
I want to give a quick shout out to Philly's finest ice bar cheesesteaks and pizza in Jacksonville Beach, where my wife and I went. And at one point, I walked in wearing a Hassan Reddick jersey. What's up? And the guy said, "Welcome to Mecca," with his arms raised. It was
hell yeah.
I love Jacksonville, man.
Yeah. So like 2 years after that grant, they decided, okay, we need to like, I guess, go bigger then, because clearly a modest expansion won't like cut it. So they launched this whole like modernization program where they spend like essentially a year like debating, what should we do? And so they decide like the mantra they come up with is like keep, modernize, expand.
Yeah,
I mean, this is
look cooler.
This map is I guess from what my limited knowledge of Jacksonville is, this makes a lot of sense.
Most of it does, yeah.
Again, I don't know. I've been to Jacksonville once in my life, but from
extra
what I remember,
bridge is maybe asking for a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah,
but,
okay, I see what you're saying.
Which they did cut because like you're not going to spend that money on a bridge, another bridge.
The operating pattern here also I don't understand at all.
It's a big-
Because I guess the
goofy
idea, I think the idea was supposed to be essentially like point to point almost more.
Oh my god!
Mm.
So you're gonna like push a button in the train to take you to a station.
Something like that.
Oh boy. Okay.
Atomize
All right.
the train.
And then you
Yeah.
have to pick like a technology, right? Because clearly the existing monorail won't work anymore. So you need something else.
Oh
no.
no.
And
No. I know what the
luckily-
next slide is. No.
Luckily,
Boo!
hold
Yeah,
on.
Sorry,
It
Marcus.
just so happened, very luckily for them, right at the time that they were talking about this, Bombardier, again, it turns out had created essentially a new version of the original technology, the original French stuff that was used.
They
And-
reverse engineered a monorail.
Well,
the
this
people
is-
mover, the
Yeah, the
Oh,
original
right, yes.
people
Okay,
mover.
okay,
There was
yes,
like
yes.
weird like rubber tire thing.
Okay,
You know,
all right.
but now it could do Quebecois swears.
Yeah. and they were actually like
and those slurs you've never
Circulator
heard of.
speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so they were actually at that time too, like under contract to build one at O'Hare, because O'Hare, it turns out, was one of the places that also built that original technology, and they needed an upgrade too. So it was like, there was this perfect moment for like this synergy. Oh geez, I said synergy. That's weird.
It's allowed. That's
Yeah. So there was this moment for like, hey, these two systems kind of need new things at the same time and use kind of similar infrastructure. So why don't we just do that? But then there was a surprise.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if here's where you would put like something crashing through walls noises.
Yeah, sort of
but-
terrifying noise.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid man comes through, but he's the lift man.
The Kool-Aid man comes through like 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
And surge pricing.
Yeah. So you get to like, I believe it's August 2016 at this point. And like the co-founder of Lyft puts out this like huge manifesto that in a nutshell is basically like, guys, we figured it out. Self-driving is real. We did it.
It's real, it's strong, it's my
Yep,
friend.
Yep. It's
Can't
definitely
see it.
happened. No.
Yeah. So next slide, actually.
This is an
Oh.
incredible chart.
Would that it
What?
were so simple. By 2025, private car ownership will all but end in major US cities.
So yeah, I'm sure we're still on schedule for that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm pretty
you're right at this-
sure. I'm pretty sure it's like 2045 right
Well,
now.
it depends how bad the Israeli retaliation to Iran
Right.
gets,
Every year I feel like it's 2 years later than it is. I'm pretty sure I'm in 2045 right now.
How old are you? I actually don't know.
I don't know.
He's like aging in dog years.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
a strange bird.
400 years old.
Mm.
Yeah, so we essentially end up at this point where it's like, oh, well, yeah, autonomous vehicles are like here. We've sorted it out. Basically, any like second now, we're going to start using them on streets, and it'll only get better from here. It's going to go great.
Yeah, of course.
and-
We're gonna have FSD, like full self-driving. It's gonna be fine.
Basically, yeah, we did it. We did it, chat. And someone in charge of a transit agency who used to work in San Francisco, I guess, really seemed to dig it, to buy it.
Oh no.
Which leads us to
don't tell me that they bet the farm on of this.
For those of you who are on audio only, let me explain this chart.
Yeah, good
Showing
fucking
that-
luck. I'm gonna.
In 2017, we will mostly have, or we will entirely have, human rideshare drivers. But by the middle of 2017, we will start to see autonomous fixed route transit.
Which is gonna peak in the sort of March of 2018.
Yeah, will peak in March of 2018 when we invent autonomous vehicles that can go under 25 miles an hour, and then gradually die off. But we'll still keep having human rideshare drivers because we can pay them so little. And then we're going to have slow speed autonomous vehicles are going to start taking up the majority of the share of all traffic on the road, I assume. And then, of course, we'll have full autonomous driving starting sometime in 2020. And then I guess this graph goes on forever until we fill the solar system entirely with cars.
well, Elon Musk did send the one Tesla to space.
Yeah, that's a good start, actually. That's one more car than was in space before, which is an infinity % increase, unless you count the moon rover, which I guess is a car.
It's an electric car too, so
Yeah, that's a
2
good
EVs
point.
in space.
Well, we're not going to really have progressed as a civilization until we can get a good old-fashioned gas car into space,
Rolling coal on Mars.
But yeah, so you have this, really ambitious dream, and clearly, right, this is the future of transportation. But you have this kind of pesky problem now that you've already spent, all these years and time and probably money on moving towards planning to upgrade your monorail with like normal stuff that works. So you need to fix that.
Yes.
So we go with this chart on the right where we come up with some criteria that you need for your new people mover system. And of course, the first thing about your people mover that's like almost the most important thing is that your people mover should definitely work at grade with intersections.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah, that definitely is a feature of the technology I would like to have.
Right. Okay, but yeah, okay. You know what I mean?
So
And it's
it
also
saves you building more like sort of grade separation,
No, what if it worked at grade?
What if we're just like
because
a
a
car?
wizard will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the magic box will simply drive. And so you also need operational flexibility.
When I hear flexibility in transit,
make it more rigid.
genuinely though,
For once in my life, I am right about this.
Oh, well, too bad. It has to be able to respond to changing demands. Like, for example, obviously a thing you want from a fixed transit system is that like trains should just like randomly connect to each other sometimes, right?
they couldn't figure it out with Skybus, and they can't figure it out now.
No, but here, all we have to do is call it platooning.
They did
Oh,
figure
it's
that out
tactical,
with
it's
the.
epic.
They actually did figure that out with the automated highway system in the 90s, but that requires a small amount of infrastructure.
No nails.
No nails. Definitely don't do that.
So essentially, you can kind of see the chart, what gets weighed and how everything scores. You have like the APM beam, which is just another monorail. You have the APM rail, which would have been that Bombardier thing. And then you have like, I think they said,
AV,
new
which is
technology.
audio video, and then the dread initials, which I know about because this was the proposal that they tried to do when they cut the Glasgow Airport rail link. I see the fucking horror sigils, PRT, personal rapid transit.
Morgantown's cute.
Oh, I will not ride in the pod.
Eat the bugs, ride in pod.
The issue with the Morgantown PRT is that it works.
Yeah, and November has to get to West Virginia, and we will be her accompaniment.
Yeah.
I will just ride the PRT all goddamn day long.
So that brings us to, of course, this total ranking at the end where, wow, surprise, autonomous vehicles are number one.
Wow,
they're the preferred technology.
It's crazy how that wins.
Yeah, who could have thought? And in fact, we can actually do this really easily because all we have to do to fit this is take off that little monorail beam in the middle, right? You just have to take that little bit off and just make it a road, and it'll work.
Yeah, just pave it over with asphalt. And oh my God. I mean, every fucking study has these like evaluation matrices, and they're all like just completely arbitrary. But someone has to fill out these big tables.
It's like
so that you can choose the answer option you want.
Like, what is your maintainability? Oh well, my fucking transit method has a maintainability of 5. What?
What is 5?
What does that mean?
It's
presumably
like 5 times better than 1.
you've written several. Yeah, well, that's in the waiting chart, but presumably you've written several hundred pages explaining that earlier, which is
Mhm.
no one's ever going to look at.
Yeah, I think the excuse they came up with was that maintainability means that if you use the vehicles a lot, can you like easily like change things out in the future? And the idea they come up with is the explanation at least is that it doesn't work for monorails because it's proprietary. Your APM
Yeah,
like
yeah.
rail vehicle is like a little more common. The autonomous vehicle isn't common right now, but so many people are investing in it. There's so much investment. This is going to go great. It's going to go fine. This won't be an issue in the future. So it gets a 4.
Yeah.
Sure.
because
Why the hell
because
not?
of the existence
Why the hell
of
not?
dumb money.
We've also found that autonomous vehicles are 4 in reliability. They
Why
are
not?
2 in proven technology as opposed to PRT, which there was at least a few systems running at that point.
Yeah. Oh, this is so goddamn dumb.
Oh, you got to consider, Liam. You got to think about the new paradigm.
I don't
Not
want
that
to think about the
speed
new
to market.
paradigm. I
This
want
is
to
the
put some
future.
wires. I want to
What
put
about
up
your
some wires.
agile
Embrace the
implementation?
new
Don't talk to me
paradigm.
about fucking agile. Talk to me about waterfall. I fucking hate agile.
Well, this would probably be a third rail powered system if it were
I'll
designed
show you a
competently.
third rail.
No, it needs batteries. Actually,
I'm gonna
Just
fucking
flexibility.
kill. No.
Operational flexibility. How else would you get a 5 for operational flexibility? So you get that whole tech spiel there, but we can go on to the next slide, honestly. You get to December, and we're going to do it. We're going to replace the Skyway with driverless vehicles,
Yes.
right? Because, like that one report at the bottom says, this is evolving at such a rapid pace, that within a short amount of time, it will be able to accommodate. It'll do whatever you need it to. It'll work. It will only improve in the future. It's going to work.
I would point out that the current system, the system they were using, was completely driverless. I do not even believe they had an attendant on the trains.
They did not. No.
They should have had some more safety improvements to allow that to happen, but it was built in the 80s. So, everyone was like, well, if a kid falls on the tracks, what are you going to do?
But yeah, it's going to work, okay? It's going to work.
Yeah, you can tell because it has the future all over it.
This is entirely a system that was, all of the documents for this were written by a hype man.
If you look at the sort of background hoardings, you can see there has a bunch of like cool words that imply technology like network and intelligent and smart
Interface.
technology.
Yeah.
Interface, real time.
Dashboard.
Yeah, but one
Slam
of them on here,
algorithms. That's the one that kills the kids, I assume.
there's also I guess this is as a service question mark, but like the second from the left along the bottom row is mass.
Yeah, mobility as a service. That's what that is.
Fuck off.
What is that? That's the same as
That's just
mobility is a
Just
service.
Give me the Quebecois guys back. Like they
pay-
might misgender me, right? But at least they don't try and sell me this shit.
No, they will do it under cost, and they will do it on time and under budget, and they will call you slurs you've never even thought of.
I pay Amtrak far too much money for a regional ticket, and they provide me with a service, which is being in another location.
But you don't do it through an app, right?
I do it through an app.
Yeah, but that's not innovative.
It's not the future though.
Yeah,
I guess it's not the future.
Trains are too permanent. They're too like fixed and stuck in place.
So ideally, like the I don't know, the ethereal AI angel comes and plucks me out of my chair and puts me somewhere else.
Yeah, mobility is an angel.
That's innovation.
Yeah.
But now, they have to prove that it works, right? So it's time to launch the test and learn program, is what they call it. So next slide. So it's 2017 in that last picture. this is essentially the next like 4 years in one slide.
They're so ugly. All of them, every single one, in a
Yeah.
like different way.
Well, let's see. That top left and the bottom right one, that's a French one, if that's any consolation.
The New Year.
Navia, I think it was.
I can't read it because they've stylized their logo too badly, which just kind of refines a bunch of my objections here.
Yeah. And then you have the Ollie is the one on the bottom left,
Right.
which is also the one we saw at the beginning.
That's the toaster.
Yeah. A cool thing about it, it's 3D printed.
I've heard that so many times about this vehicle, and I'm like, why should anyone give a shit about that?
Because I guess I think the idea was like it means you could make a lot of them, I guess, or something.
But that's what a factory is.
That's not how you make a lot of vehicles.
You build micro factories because the factories are small, I guess.
So next to my next to my
backyard
3D furnace,
they're reinventing Maoism.
And then
you're gonna 3D print your micro mobility as a service in your backyard, and then you're gonna use it to run over sparrows. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they get the chance. You also have that one in the top right, which is just like one of those small shuttle things that they put an autonomous kit. It's called a kit. They put a kit on it.
You've just you've done a kind of like bus JDAM. Perfect. It's just like a dumb bus with a GPS slapped onto it.
I think I've seen these in zoos before. Yeah.
And you also get the chance. Obviously, the world ended a couple years ago. In case you missed it.
Yeah. New York City was destroyed.
Yes.
Right. So they get this bright idea that. Oh yeah, I guess I should know that Jacksonville's for some reason one of the 3 places in the country that has the Mayo Clinic Hospital. It's like a big deal. I mean, it's a good thing.
Right. Yeah. This is one of the stunts they did to prove the technology was to transport, I want to say like COVID tests from one side of a parking lot to another to the Mayo Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
cool.
this proved that you could actually have it work in clearly like a busy urban street, because a parking lot is the same thing as a busy urban street.
I wish I could get millions of dollars for walking across a parking lot.
You can do if you get hit by a municipal vehicle.
That's a good point. Yeah, I got to stand in front of one of these things.
So now that they've gotten to spend a couple years and a bunch of money testing and learning, they decide that it's time to try again. It's time to ask the government, the president, for money. So
I mean, obviously, like President Obama has like not responded to like reasonable proposals nor unreasonable proposals.
Yeah, but now there's a different president.
Yeah.
Yes. This one wants to innovate. So they decide that, let's spend some money. They get, this says 25 million, but it's a split, actually. Of that 25 million, half of that goes to essentially tearing down a bridge and building a road, right? Like boulevard conversion type things. And then the other half is going to create, get ready for this, the Bay Street Innovation Corridor.
Oh, that's so cool. I would love to live in the Bay Street Innovation Quarter.
I just looked at this. They proposed this in 2018, or they got funding for it. You look at the renders, and it's like, okay, you've got the weird autonomous vehicles, which are supposed to go up on a ramp up to the Skyway, which we'll get to in a bit. But they're also saying we're going to build solar freaking roadways.
Oh, I was
correction. Actually,
oh no,
they'd be solar freaking sidewalks.
What?
Oh.
I love to like get electrocuted and also broiled every step I take.
I'd like to have one of the least efficient configurations for solar power possible.
It's like covered in dirt and like chewing gum and shit.
Yes.
Everyone cleaning up the chewing gum gets electrocuted also.
People keep walking on it. People keep, you gotta make it really durable. Because otherwise people will get electrocuted.
Put it on a fucking
You're
roof.
supposed to
There's a
put-
lot of
put-
roofs.
You have a nice awning and put the solar panels on there.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as people aren't walking on it, it's less of a problem. But
No, but that's not innovative enough. You have to make the innovation quarter innovate. So you put the solar panels on the sidewalk.
yeah, I want to say they wanted dynamic lanes. So even if they're not using the road as a solar freaking roadway, it has the other things like the lanes can change dynamically
that's
using
no, they already
lights.
have that.
Oh,
You just use
no, I
lights
know
for
they
that.
have they use the normal dynamic lanes as opposed to something incredibly stupid.
Oh yeah, glowing arrows in the road, I guess.
Yeah.
But now that they're armed with 12.5 million from the feds, they also need local money, right?
Oh boy.
So they will need just a little bit more local money, right? So they go and they estimate the cost of the full system, right? The full, I think, 10 miles is what they're estimating for. And they go to city council and they ask for $379 million.
Oh.
Wow. That's a good.
Okay,
that's
so
a good
not
chunk.
just betting the farm, betting everyone else's farm as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And they almost get it.
Tallahassee deserves nothing.
I'll get to Tallahassee.
Oh God.
I'll get to Tallahassee.
There's two more things here I want to point out, though. I did watch the video on this. You can see that there's these wave icons above people's heads. The idea being the entire street would be Wi-Fi enabled. So if there were an imminent flood, everyone would be alerted somehow, which you could do with the existing cell system.
Why the hell not?
Yeah, but
also,
now you know that you're up to your ankles in floodwater on a fully electrified surface.
Yeah, and then also brand new high-tech roads, still the worst bicycle lanes I've seen in my life. The autonomous vehicles don't even have their own lane.
Fucking Watch Dogs, like Watch Dogs Jacksonville hacking into the CTOS to make the bike lane the whole street. Epic.
Yeah, may as well at that point. I would do that. I would immediately kick all the vehicles off and say, this is permanently, until you give me 500 Bitcoins, this is pedestrianized.
Yeah,
why don't ransomware guys ever do anything cool like that?
Exactly.
And
it's always we'll leak your sex and never hey, we're gonna pedestrianize the street by force.
Well, that's because we haven't installed solar freaking roadways.
This episode is making me. This show usually makes me pretty angry. I'm gonna have to take a walk after this one.
Yeah, I mean, the assignment I was given was give everyone else my derangement. So I'm glad to see I'm succeeding. But next slide, actually, we might as well get there. They do approve raising most of that money. They take away 132 million that would have gone to the all of the other extensions. But they save $250 million to convert the monorail into the podway.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And then also do the ramp to the street. This is actually these meetings are where I learned about the quote, and maybe some of you have seen me use it, of that this will make Jacksonville the Silicon Valley of the East.
Wow.
And of course, some of the news articles mentioned here, the need that we have to have faith in that fort.
I love the vote of confidence in telling the guy, if this goes well, you're the hero. If it doesn't, you're not.
Well, yeah, it's usually
you either win the game of pods or you die.
Yes.
But yeah, we're going to have faith, and clearly, this is going to innovate and it's going to work, right? And we're even we're going to put out videos saying that anyone who complains about this doesn't understand it.
This This is a faith-based transportation system. Maybe one of the first ones. It's where the angels come in, I suppose.
It's like this, the subway in Mecca.
If God will send his angels, but it's just Nat Ford.
So obviously, as we can tell from this slide, it all worked, and pods went on the streets, and they all work fine. And then the next slide proves that, right?
Of course.
Right.
Oh,
Please listen to about every episode of Trash Future that we've ever done to find out about how maybe the autonomous vehicles are not that good.
The whole industry is collapsing. It hasn't fully collapsed, but it is collapsing.
I mean, it has been like an active collapse for the last 2 years at this point.
It's almost as if all of that VC money that went in on the basis that full self-driving was an inevitability. It's almost as if those guys weren't that smart and didn't, in fact, see something that nobody else could, but were just kind of easily duped.
Perhaps, but some bankruptcies happen, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You have the 3D printed shuttle guys, Local Motors. They run out of money. You have the French guys, Navia. They also run out of money.
That's crazy.
You have Cruise, which General Motors spends $9 billion on autonomous vehicles, and then they block an ambulance, and then they also drag a pedestrian down the street. And GM decides that maybe $9 billion is enough.
Sort of widely hated, very easily sabotaged. You can put a traffic cone on the hood and it just stops dead where it is because it doesn't know what to do about it.
Right. And the company they partner with that will operate the shuttles essentially for them with this complicated P-free arrangement with possibly unlimited liability for the city. But anyway, that company launches a shuttle pilot because everything is a pilot still. I think JTA's actual plan is supposed to be the first production operation of this. Because I think they even have to charge fares. I think that's what the federal grant says they have to do. But yeah, Beep launches a pilot in Orlando, just down the highway, and 2 days later it hits a bus, or maybe the bus hit it.
It crashes.
It crashes. It crashes with a bus, and then the guy they hired from Amazon to run this stuff for them gives up and leaves, which is a good sign. He's actually he's a vice president, I think, at a utility company now. So,
these guys, they can only fail upwards,
Yeah.
It's gonna deploy autonomous shuttles to deliver your natural gas.
Oh God.
Just as a pod car arriving just full of gas.
Yes, exactly. It'd be like bicycling around with a propane tank.
So clearly there have been some problems, right? This
some
hasn't
minor
gone,
setbacks.
A few minor setbacks. So really, what's the right course of action here? What do y'all think?
I mean, you've already spent all that money. Let's get sunk cost with it. Let's throw more money after it.
Sunk cost sounds good to me.
Yep, the only way out is through.
That's right, baby.
That would be great in Jacksonville, actually, because the next slide.
If you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
So we spend some more money. The original phase, that Bay Street Innovation Corridor, was originally estimated at $44 million. Right. And so the breakdown was essentially, the feds give that $12.5 million. The state gives another $13 million. And then the rest is a weird split of JTA puts some money in. The city's utility company puts in some money too. Well, it's more of an in-kind thing because they're going to do infrastructure stuff for the innovation corridor. And so that would have all totaled to $44 million. But they run into some issues, needing to build a new operations center because the other two they have don't work. I guess, for this. And
they're designed to maintain real vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, like buses, which Nat Ford says are really too big and inflexible, which is why you need smaller vehicles. And then the other is designed for like the existing Skyway, which I guess also wouldn't work. So they end up deciding, we'll raise the budget. We'll make this cost $65 million for I believe it's 12 to 15 shuttles that will then run to a stadium that holds like 60,000 people. I'm not that good at math, but
that's
many
more.
pods.
That's way more than a regular like 40-foot bus. Like for the equivalent amount of buses, like $65 million.
Don't worry about that, Ross.
It's fine.
Well, you got to consider, this is an innovation project, right?
Yeah, dummy.
We're introducing autonomous vehicles to America and the world, really.
Right.
Right. So why would you worry about those things like cost benefit, right?
Yeah, the people riding those pods, right? They're going to be inspired, and that inspiration is going to lead them to become like the next Jeff Bezos or whatever.
You can tell your friends that your single seat on your autonomous pod, you rode in a $3.5 million seat or something like that.
Yeah, it's like sort of cost to seat ratio that's like up there with F1 or being like an F-35 pilot.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I am curious what the like cost to sit in a seat ratio is once you factor all these things in. But
Hi, it's Justin. So this is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. People are annoyed by these, so let me get to the point. We have this thing called Patreon, right? The deal is you give us $2 a month, and we give you an extra episode once a month. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but it's $2. You get what you pay for. It also gets you our full back catalog of bonus episodes, so you can learn about exciting topics like guns, pickup trucks, or pickup trucks with guns on them. The money we raise through Patreon goes to making sure that the only ad you hear on this podcast is this one. Anyway, that's something to consider if you have $2 to spare each month. Join at patreon.com/WTYP pod. Do it if you want. Or don't. It's your decision, and we respect that. Back to the show.
But another kind of little issue crops up with not the Bay Street Innovation Corridor, but with the converting the Skyway portion. So you might remember earlier that I mentioned that the plan was just pop off the monorail beam and put a smooth running surface like a road and just run the pods on that. But this little issue kind of comes up with that, which is that that running surface, the road, is like probably a couple feet below where the platform would go.
This is like the most obvious problem that should have been caught, within 30 seconds of someone proposing the project.
I think at one point, like the talk was maybe they just like ramp up at a station to do that. And I think they like ran with that assumption for like a couple years. And then I think then realized it wouldn't work.
Yeah, you're going to add a lot of like area that's difficult to maintain, and all of a sudden, if you're like, I want to do a routine repair to the bridge, I have to send in people with confined space training. It's not a good solution.
So new plan, and apparently this is how we get to it costing $250 million to do this conversion on the system that originally cost like $180 million. We're just going to rip the whole top half off.
Cool.
That's what we're looking at here. The proposal to kind of just build these entirely new beam or
This
girders.
is just kind of like, this is our beautiful, elegant sort of like structural solution. Decapitate the fucking thing.
This is like someone who just like can't stop redecorating. It's like, well, we had one Skyway, then we converted it to a new system.
I need
Now
more.
we're converting
I
it to
just
another.
just one more
system.
Skyway.
Yeah.
It's like me playing Civ, dude.
A big part of like the argument for this is that it's this whole idea of they call it being vehicle agnostic.
What?
So like the idea there would be that once you've converted it into being an autonomous vehicle like Road, you could just run any autonomous vehicle on it because that's how that works.
Yeah, or the autonomous bus, autonomous freight.
Well, buses are too big, but
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Oh,
you can't run any autonomous vehicle that's useful.
Roz's favorite
assuming
thing,
those
autonomous freight
exist.
trains.
Oh God! I mean, you run an autonomous truck up there and then just collapse the whole thing. No system is vehicle agnostic. That's fake. There's no way you could. Vehicle agnostic would be like, all right, can I run an autonomous shuttle crawler up there?
Remember when I told you to take your allergy meds a couple weeks ago?
I'm sorry?
I was yelling at Ross to take his allergy meds.
Oh.
But yeah, you have kind of on here just the different strategies for like which type of girder would you want to use for this. If I remember right, I think that third one is the one they considered the good one. And we can go to the next slide too. They also consider, well, hey, what if we like we extend the beams so that they can also go up there.
Uh-huh.
Because that's also a perfectly feasible solution.
Yes.
I mean, you're the engineers, so you know.
I'm not. I don't.
Yeah, I just got here, man.
I was just, looking at this like none of it makes sense. And it's sort of difficult to say exactly because I'm not super familiar with the plans. I just thought these images should be in there, just to show that like they really early on missed some very
sort of
basic
knew what
problems.
they were. Yeah, I guess it didn't know what they were doing. It just got lulled to sleep by the whole. This is the future.
Well, if you can solve any problem by throwing computers at it. That's our current paradigm.
Yeah,
It's just like throwing whole ass laptops at this thing.
Yeah.
And not the thin lights either. The big shit ThinkPads from '96.
I'm just finding captions I like here. I see a label here that says "fill pockets with non-shrink grout brackets for aesthetics only."
What?
No, so what it looks like they want to do here is you would raise the deck entirely by jacking up the existing piers using temporary supports.
Oh God!
And then you would. And then because of that, you would then have the autonomous vehicles would then be at the appropriate height for the platform. Which, again, the whole idea here is this is supposed to be cheaper, and this is the most expensive and stupidest thing I think you can do to, a simple concrete post and beam structure.
A simple concrete pillar, and look how they massacred my
boy.
This is like people who go and get like leg extensions because they're like whatchamacallit, they're insecure about their height. And it's like
Couldn't
this
be
is
me,
one of
man.
the worst and stupid procedures out there.
It's just and why do this? Like, why not simply do like
anything else?
Yeah,
it's the future.
Yeah, and the future, as we know,
it's
is
the future,
trash.
and they decide to spend money on this, and they don't really want to turn around because it will make them famous.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
it got them on Well, There's Your Problem. So
this is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, there's actually a quote of the like chair of their board saying the media needs to listen because they're going to be famous for this. back then.
Definitely a fan.
Yeah.
So they I guess know what the objective is here, and the state wasn't a big fan of that, which brings me to the next slide, which is that it turned out like 3 years ago, the state like asked them like, hey, are you sure about this? Essentially,
Wait, the state of Florida like
Yeah.
State of
found
Florida.
time to do something besides like bathroom cop stuff?
I mean, it was the Department of Transportation, so I guess it was instead of building a highway, although they do that anyway. So
They have limited jurisdiction over bathrooms, so
Yeah.
they have bathroom cops. They're just playing Candy Crush. They don't have anything to say.
So yeah, so essentially you have like this whole bunch of emails where FDOT kind of repeatedly asked JTA's executives that like, are you sure this is going to work? Like, can it actually drive itself? Can it drive at
seems
night
like-
or in the rain?
It seems like you're betting the farm on this. Are you sure you want to do that?
And JTA's response is essentially not necessarily that like you're wrong, but more so that if you're so worried, then we'll reorganize how your money is spent so that this is our problem and not yours.
Oh, that is the mark of confidence.
There you go.
And then of course, you flash forward a couple years, and now that it turns out that all of the companies that make these are bankrupt now, or their technology like is even more obviously not ready to work with this. They've decided that instead, in order to meet the deadlines imposed by the grant, they'll buy a van from Ford, like a passenger van,
What?
Yeah.
and they'll attach.
Say less, though. Say less. Love a van.
And they'll attach an autonomous kit, so it'll
what?
sort of drive itself.
The JDAM is back.
The JDAM, yes.
Except,
the JDAM.
It doesn't appear to be able to work at night yet,
Oh.
or
Okay.
in the rain.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good thing it's never night or rains in Florida.
And of course, if you mention this on the internet, you get the bottom right there.
Oh, we gotta get blocked by this guy. Yeah.
What's weird is I don't think I was saying anything about this when he did that, but I don't know. And there's
Received the personal block from Nathaniel P. Ford.
oh yeah. And then
got
you
like
get
483 followers, which is not enough to be this thin-skinned. Like,
well, he
Do what Ron
manages to
does.
get
Say something incredibly offensive and then slap it on mute, baby.
Yeah. Look, that's always a smart idea. If you do a post and it's not a banger, well, just mute it. Don't worry about it for a bit.
yeah, it seems like he's only got 483 followers. He's got banned a couple of times for like popping off on Twitter. So
well, I think he gets rewarded in some other ways, which brings me to the next slide.
He's looking for 10,000 of his closest followers, all of whom are bots driving autonomous pods. You go into the pod and it just says pussy in bio.
My hot nudes in bio. I don't believe you.
Yeah. I don't believe my hot nudes in pod. No, this is just a pod.
This is there's your problem, dude. Weren't you listening?
So it also comes out last year. I think people weren't necessarily aware of like how much money you would ordinarily pay the CEO of a transit agency, and so we find that for some reason in that Ford's case, the answer is a lot.
Well, I mean, you have to pay for excellence, is the thing.
Yes.
Is that what we're paying for?
Yeah, because 11,000 or 21,000 riders a day is very excellent. Right.
21,000 people can't be wrong.
I mean, it's only like the 10th largest city in the country, right? So,
yeah,
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
It has a total ridership about the same as Virginia Railway Express, which only runs in the peak hours and only on weekdays.
Oh, VRE, baby.
I mean,
So
Floridians have a lot better things to do than to be just taking public transport. For instance, like various crimes that end up becoming like sort of memes.
Yeah, meme crimes. You can do.
yeah.
You can fight a gator.
Carjacking.
Well, that falls under crimes.
That's a different crime.
What else did?
It's
Yeah,
just crime brackets not meme.
yeah, exactly. That's a non
Crime brackets hate.
Welcome to Florida, baby.
You can spend a lot of effort passing anti-trans legislation.
Yeah.
You fucking
you
meatball
can
Ron.
require a supermajority vote for bus lanes.
What?
You can run for president against Donald Trump. Even
Badly.
though everyone you know is telling it's a bad idea and get owned.
And you can also spend $190,000 over 5 years on travel.
That is a lot of money.
I'm in the wrong line of work. How do you get into like managing transit systems? Like, I mean, podcasting is very, very rewarding, but like, clearly this is a whole other league.
Well, we could do more shows. Then you could spend a lot on travel and expense.
We'll talk about that.
That's a good idea, yeah. But then I would have to get over the fact that doing an engineering disasters podcast has made me too afraid to fly in a plane.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll come to you.
Do that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Also this year, the governor signed the bill that on top of the bus lanes requirements, I'll also say that maybe you can't pay your executives that much. So I guess we'll see where that leaves Matt.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good amount of compensation right there, $626,475.29.
Yeah, but how many subscribers does he have on Patreon?
That's a good point.
With those Twitter numbers, probably not many.
No.
I mean, he does get like a bunch of awards, and apparently that's what some of the travel is for. So
I have to go
take that as you will.
Receive an award for my autonomous vehicle
Shitty
system
bad
that doesn't
job
work.
that I did.
Yeah.
I mean, it turns out they give out awards for those in Germany. And so, he needs to fly to Germany for that.
Likely place for it.
We'll actually get to that. But I guess let's maybe circulate on kind of where we are at this point. So next slide for that.
Is this the van? Is this the van?
That is the van.
This is the van.
That's the van.
This is it. This is
boy.
the JDAM. This is the thing that
This
had to.
sucks.
This was the compromise that they ended up having to do as a Ford Transit.
Yes, it
This
is
sucks.
Ford.
23.
It's beautiful. I want
Ford
to kiss it on the mouth.
350.
This is just here. I am accepting my $600,000 a year in compensation. In return, you receive trade deal of the century van, like kidnapping van, like minibus.
And I'd also like to recap some of the other technical issues that emerged. At one point, the idea was supposed to be that these things would be able to go point to point, right? You could call it on your phone and essentially ride it like an Uber to your other place. Apparently, the problem that emerged there was that you could not keep any consistent headway doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That does not take a genius to figure out. Yes.
Well, it did take JTA like 3 years. So
well done, boys.
We can't all be geniuses.
Is this at least driverless?
Well, there's you need something called an attendant, and that person has to sit in the driver's seat.
What?
And be ready to drive it.
Look inside driverless van. Driver.
I like that the driverless system has more drivers than the existing Skyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
we have to hire a bunch of drivers to make this driverless.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Let's see. Another problem that cropped up was the ridership estimates they originally made were off. And the state called them out for that. And so you got the revised number. Again, this is the number to connect from the existing Skyway to the football stadium 60,000 people use. And you get that average of 250 to 300 riders per day. based
I
on
was going to say for
pre-COVID
per hour, that's pretty good. And then per day, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
People don't want to sit in the driverless van that has a driver.
I mean, I guess when you could just drive to go see football and drive drunk home, like what?
They sure love doing it. I've been
the
to the
ultimate
Gator
form of
Bowl.
public transport,
Yeah.
drunk driving.
Oh, and one
Yes.
more problem. Turns out the whole mixed traffic thing doesn't work either. So we have to last minute look for dedicated lanes for these.
Oh wow, that's
Huh.
crazy how that
Wow.
works.
Looks like they're getting rid of the bike lanes for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm seeing is some completely insane and possibly illegal ADA issues.
Mm.
Which is just that, all right, we're going from a system that has level boarding. If you're in a wheelchair, you can just roll yourself in
Yeah.
to something where our autonomous electric shuttle has to stop and deploy a wheelchair lift
Oh boy.
to get you in there. And that's going to, add insane amounts of dwell time. I mean, using wheelchair lifts at this point is it's just bad practice. It's effectively useless. But if you have something that's high floor like that, that's going to be your only option. This is going to if there are any disabled people in Jacksonville who decide to use this, this is going to be just incredibly slow. This is going to be slower than walking.
You can incapacitate this whole system by trying to use this as a wheelchair user.
Yeah, and then if you somehow drive this up onto the guideway, there's only one wheelchair lift. How do you get people onto the platform when you need to be on the other side?
Oh, don't worry about that. You just sort of if you ride this and you use a wheelchair, you're enlisted in a kind of platforming section.
Yeah, I think exactly. At that point, it's you need some kind of like I don't understand how anyone I do understand how we got to this point, but it's someone should have been able to point this out on day one and say no, we shouldn't do this.
Right.
Yeah,
as opposed to day
2000.
Yeah.
But innovation, after 8 years, that's what this is really all about, innovating.
Yeah,
you can innovate.
The whole autonomous vehicle economy is just about cycling money through, and none of it does anything, but you can say, I don't know. It feels like people are, we somehow have formed an economy where it's, you can just shove oceans of money into a hole and somehow things keep going. But I don't know.
Oh, don't worry. It gets a little bit faster and a little bit dumber every time.
Yeah.
AI is like this also.
Oh wait, faster. That's a good point. These I think can still only go 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah,
if I get in a Ford Transit and floor it, and it tops out at 10. Oh my god!
You're gonna wind up getting on a regular JTA bus, which can presumably use these lanes. You're gonna see 14 of them go past you by the time you've gone down 3 blocks.
I will say I'm not sure the lanes are wide enough for that. I'm not exactly sure how wide they are. Because I'm pretty sure those are repurposing parking lanes.
You're gonna see the buses go past you anyway, though.
Well, I mean, there aren't that many buses there, so
okay, you're gonna see 2 buses go past you.
potentially, yeah. But there is one more potential saving grace that will fix all of these problems. If Nat Ford keeps his job long enough to make it all happen, and that's the next slide.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Slightly different toaster.
it's
Yeah. So the story here, this is a company called Holon. I think their slogan is like founded like tomorrow or something like that.
Stupid.
great.
It's a
Great,
spinoff
fantastic.
of this company that builds like parts for cars, essentially. They did like a bunch of like EV equipment too, and they decided to take that and the self-driving part and just spin it off into another company. And so that's this. Their thing is called the Mover,
Uh-huh.
and
Starting the big bankruptcy clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Oh Jesus! You might have been beat to
possibly
the
au
punch.
contraire. It just so happens that earlier this year,
Ooh, designed by Pininfarina.
yeah, it is. It just so happens earlier this year that a big company in Saudi Arabia decided to invest a bunch of money into this. An amount that they will not disclose, but some large amount.
Oh, I mean, fantastic, provided it doesn't get hit by the same kind of panic sell-off and like cutback that everything else the Saudi Public Investment Fund has been doing lately. Like with Neom, for instance.
Oh, the nub.
Yeah, the nub. Maybe they'll just like ship you like one wheel of this.
Possibly, I can't guarantee that because this is still unfolding live, essentially. And it just so happens that all of a sudden, a mysterious company that has not been disclosed yet has announced that they would like to maybe build an autonomous vehicle in Jacksonville.
Oh,
Huh.
perfect.
Yeah.
They are saving a lot of money because they do seem to be using the body from what was that car that had the wraparound window, the Toyota Scion or something?
Oh, I'm
No,
not sure.
it was like really boxy.
The Scion XB, bud.
Maybe, yeah, that sounds about right. They're just reusing that, so that is going to save them a lot of money.
All of this is rug pull. Like, I genuinely, right? There's so many times this happened with like autonomous, with like AVs, with EVs before that as well. Where like company comes to town, and there's like inevitably some horse trading and like backroom deals allegedly with like whatever local politician, and it creates X number of jobs, usually in time for an election, and then the factory shuts and the company goes bankrupt in like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't say for certain that this will happen, but come back to me in 6 months. And if I'm wrong about this, like, own me mercilessly on Twitter about it.
Well, they would have to set up an entire. They would have to set up an entire production line in that amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't have time to do that.
Back.
I think the plan right now is they're asking for money now. They're asking for, I think, is it 7 or 8 million from the city in incentives?
What if more sunk cost?
7.7 million in city incentives, and then
The
another
cost
8
keeps
million
getting sunker.
in state incentives. And then they would try to build that factory by 2027, I believe. Yeah, end of 2027. So that's too late to fix the Bay Street Innovation Corridor, for one. Right, that has to be the Ford Vans.
The feds are going to revoke the money otherwise, right?
Well, yeah, they have to open, I think, by next year.
Oh my God.
I don't think they can get any extensions for that. Yeah. So they have to do the Ford Vans. That has to happen.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck, guys.
Would you like to take this autonomous Ford van with the guy in it that goes slower than you can jog?
Well, possibly 200 to 300 people pre-pandemic would. So
wow.
So yeah.
Incredible.
So that has been my derangement, I think.
That is.
I think I've gotten your derangement. I'm feeling pretty deranged.
This was the story of the ultimate urban circulator.
Yeah.
Incredible branding.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be an update next year of, clearly they will have solved all these problems, right? That will definitely happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to say, what did we learn here? but I'm still
Technology is
astonished at how
stupid.
We didn't need to learn anything. We
yeah,
didn't get
no,
anything
no,
wrong.
we're
Right.
like it's relatively easy to like identify a scam. But our elected
that's
officials are incapable of that.
yeah, that's your lesson, City of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Like,
You got scammed. You're a pigeon.
I mean,
You're-
it must be a beautiful time to be like one of the people in this ecosystem, right? To be like a branding consultant, right? Who gets
Yeah.
to do all the hoardings or gets to do all the renders or whatever, and then you just move on to the next thing, you know?
No, that's the worst part is they all feel bad that they didn't achieve the innovation, even though they got $1 trillion out of it.
Mm,
You know, all these tech guys are like they drank their own Kool-Aid, so they can't even be a good scammer.
sucks. If I
Yeah.
get scammed, I want the guy scamming me to enjoy it.
Yeah, I would hope the guy scamming me enjoys it, as opposed to like, you know, that's one of the big problems with today's scams is that the people doing it don't even like it.
No joy
I
in
mean,
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want like selfies of you like on the yacht and like Monte Carlo spending my money.
yeah.
you know?
We need the monorail guy back,
Mm.
who, you know, sort of, well, as I said, is going to sell you a proprietary guideway system. That's the most unrealistic part of the Simpsons monorail episode is that that guy would come back for the maintenance contract and make bank.
Yeah, so half billion dollar self-driving car program is it's going pretty well, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah. It's so depressing. All right.
Mm.
Yeah.
You need to emulate the People's Republic of China in this, right? Which is when one of these guys makes enough enemies, they execute him. You gotta like execute at least one of these guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that you don't have to do it to all of them, but you do have to make an example of someone every once in a while.
At some point,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And like I know that the way it works in all the places where they do this is that like you know it's all graft anyway as to who doesn't get executed, but like you gotta at least make it a risk that's on the table.
Yes.
Enjoy living dangerously. Maybe it'll put some relish back into your scam.
Hell
I
yeah.
have to say, you know, you might be able to enjoy yourself for once. You might have a nice day.
Probably still
Yeah,
won't.
what
but-
we've done, we've really done like psychic damage to the American scammer by not executing them.
Well, you gotta keep them on their toes, you know?
Yeah, genuinely.
We got to bring the mob back.
Yeah, that's the policy, right? We gotta bring back the mob.
If this were entirely done by organized crime, they would deliver a better product. Probably for cheaper too.
Yeah, but that's not innovative, right?
That's not innovative.
It's not
No.
innovative.
The Italian mob are gone. That's for the Scorsese films. Today we have to have, I don't know, a guy who like religiously conserves his body water, like as
Yeah.
our thought leader.
Or a guy
Well,
who gets his own office shower, I think, an elevator.
Oh my
Well,
god!
you see how like these things work in like fully fledged kleptocracies, right? Where the government is like a
Mhm.
guy, right? And he wants to get a prestige project done. Is he hires a bunch of these guys to do it and says like no expense spared, but if you fuck up, I'll kill you. And then they do the thing. Like and then
Yeah.
you know then all of a sudden like Astana has like a beautiful airport that is empty all the time, right?
Yeah,
Because
or-
you got all of the airport building guys in a room and you said build the best airport, here is all the money in the country, if you don't do it I will shoot you in the kneecaps.
Yeah, Morocco has high speed rail.
Mhm.
India it has a fully electrified railroad system. Where else?
Big prestige projects like
Yeah,
That
if you
aren't,
wanna
that
do
aren't
a-
the line, please.
Yeah, if you want to do big prestige projects, threaten to shoot your contractors.
Yes.
I think that's
Gotta
what
keep
we've
them in line.
learned.
Just gotta keep
you
them
know,
in
this
line.
that's
isn't
the
an
takeaway.
endorsement of autocracy. It's just it's something that they're capable of doing that we used to be capable of doing, and now we
Yeah.
don't.
We're not a proper
Yeah.
country.
Well, on a
Exactly.
related note, last year and I guess also this year, JTA holds this National Autonomous Vehicle Day event. So they bring everyone to like the big like pod development facility, and they have a bunch of talks, and they point at some pods going around the parking lot. Yes, there are people in them.
Don't they have like a demonstrator line running now at like Florida State, or it might be like State University of Florida?
It's the Florida State College at Jacksonville. They did a big flashy launch for that, and that's where the quote from the chairwoman going, "We're going to be famous for this," comes from.
And they do have one pod running from one side of the parking lot to the other side of the parking lot.
That's at least what they've said. I have not been able to confirm that it is in fact doing that on a regular basis.
Be a pod that goes from one side of the parking lot
they
to the other
pod.
side of the parking lot.
I don't know if it like regularly runs.
There may on some days be one pod that goes from one side.
Yeah, well, because if it starts raining, they have to like put it away.
Ugh.
And then bring it back out when it stops raining. Because after 8 years, that is the best they can do.
On 3 weekends a year, we have a pod that goes from one side of the parking lot to the other side of the parking lot.
I'm not sure they run it on weekends. So.
Let's end this shit, please. Safety
on
third.
A Tuesday and Thursday in August, we have an autonomous pod that goes from one side of the parking lot to the other side of the parking lot. We are innovators.
That's right. And I guess the one last note is that one of those companies that presents at the Autonomous Vehicle Day, it's a company whose like chairman is the former Prime Minister of Estonia. Because I guess that's what you do when you are no longer Prime Minister of Estonia. You run a pod company.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, right? This is the other thing in which I'm jealous, right? Not only am I not getting the like hundreds of thousands of dollars of free travel a year, right? But like, as far as I know, and please tell me if I'm wrong because I would like the security, there's no jobs, like do nothing, sinecure jobs for like ex-podcasters, right? Like, we stopped doing this. Nobody's putting us on like the board of a company.
No, honestly, they'll probably cheer about
you
it.
have to do like, I guess, running a transit agency or maybe banking, maybe law. Because I think all of the people on JTA's board of directors are like lawyers and bankers. I think. So
I don't want to go back to law school.
Don't.
Or do I?
No.
Well. We just have to hope this. Yeah, we just have to hope this particular grift stays alive forever.
Please, we need your money.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Convince the city to give you some money, right?
Yeah. Well, we could make the
podcast innovation center.
Yeah. We have more drops, new slurs.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
wow.
We have a segment on this podcast called Safety Third.
Shake hands for danger.
Did it get louder?
It sure feels like it.
Maybe. Howdy, Roz, Liam, and November, and any potential guest.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's cowardice shit, though. Stop hedging your bets. You can only pick one.
What you have to like whatchamacallit, like name the potential guest.
Yep.
You have to go into like the book of baby names and pick one randomly.
That's right.
No. If you're doing this, I want to hear like your best guess at like each of our horrible secrets.
Oh
no.
Well, this person sent an email specifically to say November, even though in the first email they said Alice.
That's cool. I like the update.
Yes.
I also appreciate the screenshots of my farming simulator playthrough they've attached.
I have a story to tell that deals with basic driving skills and spatial awareness, which I guess is something that autonomous pods lack.
Mm-hmm.
And my lack of either of those attributes.
God, is this written by an autonomous pod?
This might be an autonomous pod, yes. For context, I work on a ranch in Texas.
Oh, boy.
When I'm not feeding cattle or plowing fields, I've been clearing out invasive shrubs with a skid steer and a root grapple attachment to clear up more grassland for our cattle.
Skid
don't
steers
know-
are so cool.
Yes. If you don't know what either of those things are, it's like a mini bulldozer with Diesel 10's Pinchy the Claw arm from the acclaimed cult classic Thomas and the Magic Railroad, starring Alec Baldwin.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what that is. I would
Well
also
done.
probably call it a bobcat, but I would spend hours every day ripping these shrubs out of the ground and piling them up in a burn pile. Again, since this is Texas, we can do crazy shit like that out here in the open.
Mhm.
Well done.
These shrubs would grow along the edge of creeks, and the particular creek in our property was quite large for creek standards.
Yep, small creek the size of a large creek.
Small creek the size of a large creek. Oh, that was another news item. The Dubai Creek flooded.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get to that in the next episode.
Yeah, sure.
We'll see if Dubai is like fully destroyed before we talk about it.
I mean, yeah, you live in a desert. Every once in a while, you get a 5 million inch rainfall event.
Mm. Especially if you're doing cloud seeding.
Yeah. I was told, I would love to know more about that. I was told explicitly not to work after it rained in the event I fell in so I wouldn't drown in muddy creek water. That was the only safety briefing I received, so I hopped in and got to it without questions. Fortunately, I was working on a lovely sunny day and the water was only a foot or so deep. As I was clearing shrubs and singing All Star by Smash Mouth,
Nice.
I made the fateful decision to turn around and add to the pile. Unfortunately, I was too busy singing, well, the years start coming and they don't start coming, to turn my head around.
Those existential Smash Mouth, the years start coming and they don't start coming.
Yeah. To turn my head around and see that the back of the skid steer, the bobcat, was mere inches from the creek's edge.
Oh boy. I mean, the thing
Good
is, if
place
you
to
die
be.
like this, you go to like skid steer Valhalla.
Yeah, Farmer
Yes.
Valhalla, yeah.
Yeah, and then St. Peter asks you, is it called a skid steer or a bobcat?
What happens if you answer wrong?
Your hand on the lever to the trapdoor, you know?
Yeah. As I backed up, I suddenly got this sinking feeling. When I realized what was happening, I started screaming bloody murder as I tumbled 12 feet in the skid steer down into the creek, bouncing around like a pinball on my way down. When I came to in agonizing pain, I realized the entire skid steer was upside down. See attachment 1.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I was sitting on the ceiling. As I gazed up in the seat, I realized that 1, the lap bar immediately spat me out, and 2, there was in fact a seat belt that I didn't know existed since it was buried in the seat cover. It would have been nice to know either by being told in a safety briefing or having the common sense to expect one to exist. I crawled out, climbed over the treads to the edge of the water, slowly made my way up the 12-foot embankment while groaning in pain. When I collected myself, I realized I had a scrape on my forehead, my arms and shoulders were in throbbing pain, and my back was royally fucked. I laid on the ground to catch my breath, then made the painful trek across the field and back to the barn to tell my boss I had just fallen into the creek.
Oof.
I was sent home where I downed some gummies to ease the pain while my boss and other farmhands spent all day digging a ramp out of the embankment and dragging the skid steer out with 3 tractors chained up together in tandem.
Oh,
Jesus
see,
Christ.
that's what's going on. Fantastic.
It was a sight to behold and a feat of redneck engineering. See attachment 2.
I'm saluting.
Yeah. The next day, my boss showed up to check on me and gave me a bottle of Jack, which was empty by the following day. They were the real heroes that day, even if they were probably bitching the whole time.
I think you should, like, not to be a lib about this, but I as cool as this is, I prefer the, like, OSHA workman's comp situation to, like, here is a bottle of the least good bourbon.
Well, it is
It's
the
not
least good
bourbon,
bourbon.
it's Tennessee whiskey.
They're made exactly the same besides the Lincoln County process. is basically bourbon. Fuck you.
Well, the charcoal may not do anything.
I know that it's bourbon because I don't like it.
Good enough.
All right, we're gonna have to have a talk.
Yeah, honestly.
am I fired?
No.
As of writing this, it has been about a week since the accident, and I'm still sore as all get out. I've learned some valuable lessons, so let me share them with the rest of you. Always be aware of your surroundings. Look behind you as you reverse, even if you think you're far away enough from the edge of a cliff. Always wear your seatbelt. Never, under any circumstance, operate heavy machinery while under the influence of Smash Mouth.
I don't know that Smash Mouth is the issue here.
There were probably some lax safety procedures here. Yeah,
You should like call like OSHA about this.
It's a farm. They probably won't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of exemptions there, unfortunately.
Thank you for your time, and I hope
farm.
Thank you for your time. I hope you all learned some valuable lessons from Simple Farm Boy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go eat a pound of brisket and sing Deep in the Heart of Texas on repeat. Hopefully, there won't be another music-related disaster this time. Keep up the great work, and the podcast is wonderful, and I hope you all keep it up for years to come.
We're
Cheers.
gonna have to. No one's
Sure.
gonna make us
Yeah,
company
exactly.
directors, you know.
Yeah. Well, this is true. Exactly. We're not gonna be able to introduce autonomous pods to I don't know, Tamaqua, Pennsylvania.
I don't know. I mean, AI voice technology is coming on to the point where pretty soon we can all just retire. You know, you keep getting the podcasts, and we just like it's done by our awful phantasms.
No.
I need
I
something
would-
to do November.
Yeah, me too. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we probably could do. And if we all sound like the TikTok voice next time you hear this, don't investigate that too closely.
Welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. Yeah. All right,
Wait,
that was
do I have? Fuck's sake.
need a bigger drop board.
Honestly.
I'm literally typing this out right now because it's a fucking.
Welcome to Well, There's Your Problem, a podcast about engineering disasters with slides.
I don't like a cadence on it. It's no, we have to keep doing this ourselves.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Okay, well, that was
quick.
safety third.
Shake hands for danger.
Our next episode will be on Chernobyl. Does anyone have any commercials before we go?
We have a store. You can buy shirts.
Yeah, you
You
can.
can buy shirts. Marcus, if they want more Marcus, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm not calling it that other thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
at Marcus, the letter C, because that's my middle initial, and then Nelson. So hit me up, I guess, if you want to become more deranged with me. I also have Blue Sky, but I'm sorry, I just don't use it.
Yeah, I don't use it that much either. Yeah.
No.
But I mean, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, this has been this
Absolutely.
this has definitely made me more deranged.
Good.
I guess two things I mentioned on the previous episode. There will be an event involving disaster films sometime in
On May 4th, 2024.
in Philadelphia that I will be a part of. And the other thing, of course, it is the month of April. So if you want a podcast from Australia, go listen to Punta Vista Podcast. That's all I have to say.
Perfect.
Well
It's
done.
done.
Great.
We recorded the podcast.
All right,
Bye,
goodbye.
everyone.
Yeah, all right.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Marcus, just keep the video. Roz, you got to stop the podcast, my guy.
I am stopping the podcast. I just have to do several things.
salty.
The
Snail.
podcast
Yeah,
that couldn't.
It's Giving Podcast. Like and subscribe.